Welcome back. So in this session we will see one of the Selenium 4 feature, that is relative locators. So we have seen few of the Selenium 4 new features or the enhancements, and even we have already seen a blog about that. So if you're not sure about that, I will be putting the link into the description below so that you can refer to that. Okay. So Selenium 4 has given this relative locator. So this is basically what this means is that with respect to a particular what you call element that you can able to identify, you can reference that, and then by using any one of these method that is listed, like above to this element or below to a particular element, near to a particular element, left or right. So you can give the position of that element, and then you can able to identify those elements. So like for an instance, a quick example I can give is that let's say that you have a username field and password field, and that there is a sign up or a sign in field is there. Okay, so what you can do, you can, if you are able to identify the username field, then you can say that below to that username field, so that is nothing but your the password field will be identified. So that's how relative to one element you can identify another element. Okay, so let's go to this description or the Selenium documentation to see more about that. And before to that, as you can see here, all the methods are duplicated. It means that it is overloaded. So each of this method can accept a by locator, that means that a by type, or else it can even accept a web element. So that is one of the good feature of that. Okay, about the near we will be talking in a moment. So let me show you the documentation. So if you see here, so Selenium 4 has, these are the methods available by using the with tag name. So with tag name, if you see this one, with tag name normally accepts the what you call the element type. So let's say that if I want to identify a password, so a password field is a input, right? So now if you see here, so it says that how does this work. So let's see this one. So this is basically using a JavaScript function, that is get bounding client rect. Now what this basically provides, so this is giving one of the object, dom rect object. This object is nothing but, so this object will have these much functions. So you can use the top, right, bottom, x, y. So all the coordinates, and with respect to another element, you can get all these elements. So like this is nothing but a viewport where you can see this element is how far it is, either it is top, bottom, right or left to a particular element. So that is what it is giving. So based on these object values, the Selenium identifies the required element. Okay, so we'll see that one by one. Now if you see here, like it's a email address, password field, there is a cancel, there is a submit button. Now if I say that if I want to identify the password field, then I can say that below to email address and above to cancel button. It means that it will identify the password. Okay, you can see the syntax here. You have to import this particular what do you call the package name or the method. Okay, and it is static so that I can directly use the with tag name. Okay, so you can see password field is identified. It is identifying the email address. So as you can see, with tag name input above to the password field. So above to password field is nothing but the email address. Or I can say left to the submit button if I want to identify this cancel button. Okay, so for this session we will be using this particular demo a web grid, so that we can able to identify left, right, top, bottom. Okay, so let's move to, okay, so before to that, as I was telling, this near is bit tricky, because if you see the documentation, this near is basically it is identifying the 50 pixels away from that specific element. So let's say if you have a element, so 50 pixels from that element, whatever nearby elements are there, it will identify. The challenge with this is that in your web application, if you see, all the elements are kind of compact actually. So within 50 pixels you will see lot of elements. So let's say that if I go for let's say Selenium. So 50 pixels you will see all these elements, so you can't even uniquely identify that. So when I tried this particular near, I was not getting proper output. Actually it was always giving the no such element found. Okay, so you can give it a try and see if that works for you guys. But yes, we will be seeing the above all other methods. Okay, like all these methods whatever we have seen. Okay, like above, below, to left of, to right of. Okay, and one thing to note is that so currently the video I'm making, the Selenium version is alpha 06. Okay, it means that the alpha 6 release is already there, but there is some issue with respect to this relative locators. So I am using the alpha 5. So if you are using alpha 6, you might be getting some errors, some implementation errors it is getting. So better to use the 5 version or 5 alpha version. Okay, so once you get the exact Selenium 4, this issue would have been fixed by that time. Okay, so let me switch to the IntelliJ. Okay, so here what I will be doing, I will be adding a new class, Java class, and I will say relative locator. Okay, some name I'm giving, and here I will be using the testng. So I have already written one of that in my practice, so I will just use that here directly to save time. Okay, and let me copy paste here these things. Fine. Okay, and I have already used this. Okay, so this should be the web table. Okay, fine. Now the loading is fine, and you can use Firefox or Chrome, anything. It is not specific to a browser. Okay, and then let me quickly copy paste this one as well. So I will be copy pasting line by line as we speak. Okay, so here, fine. Okay, so at this moment, okay, I think one extra is there. So let's say I want to identify this QTP. Okay, so for an instance, let's consider that I could able to identify this functional. Okay, so functional is nothing but a TD text. So I mean, let's say that this TD QTP don't have any IDs. So with respect to this functional, I want to identify this one. So if you see here, this functional, I mean, on the, if you see on a what do you call, XY axis, this QTP is exactly right to this functional. Okay, so I can use, so first I will identify this functional element and I will say to right of functional. Okay, so let me just use this code base, and here I will be copy pasting these two lines. Okay, so now here what I will do, so as I told, functional I could able to identify, so that's why I am writing this one. And here I have to use this import static, right, which I have shown you in the documentation. So let me just write that one. Now the error would have been gone. Okay, so if you see, the error is gone. Now here if you see, functional I could able to identify. Now what I am saying, driver dot find element with tag name, this is a TD, right? If you see, this QTP is nothing but a TD. It's a tag name is TD. So each element on your DOM should have a tag name, even though that don't have any attributes, but each element should have a tag ID. So tag name. So that's why I'm saying TD. I don't know what is that QTP. I'm not able to identify, but I'm saying to right of this element. Now, if you see on this, to write a functional, I have QTP, I have even Bugzilla, but the Selenium identifies the first occurrence of that tag name, that is nothing but QTP. So if you see, near to functional there is QTP only. Even Bugzilla will come, but it will consider the first element because I'm giving find element. If I give find elements, then I might get even this Bugzilla as well. For now, let's just focus with the find element. And now here, just to make you guys understand, I will be highlighting that element by using a JavaScript executor. So you can directly use this particular method to highlight any particular element. You have to just send the driver and the element. So here what I will be doing, so I will say highlight, and then that element is nothing but this final element. Okay, so first thing is that I will be passing this driver object and this final. And for now, let's just make some weight so that we can see the highlight part, and then I will be quitting the driver. Okay, or the browser. Now let's run this one real quick. Oops, sorry, it has to be, I did wrong, it has to be this URL. So let me quit this browser and rerun again. Now you can see the QTP is highlighted because after functional, if you see here, to right of this functional. So I can just say like this so that you guys can identify this one well. And then this is nothing but QTP element. QTP element I want to identify. Okay, so I will just say functional, and here I want to highlight this QTP element. Fine. So this is how you can do. Now this is only one way. So here you can use any of this method which we have seen. Like you can use near, you can use below, above, to left of, to right of, depending on your requirement. Even we can use these methods, multiple methods at once. So we can have like above to this element, below to that element, and then left to some element to make it more unique. Okay, so multiple methods we can combine together. So that is what we are going to see. Now let's comment this one, and then I will be using the multiple methods, how we can utilize that. Okay, so I will be completely commenting this one, and now we will try to, now if I go here, now let's think about to identify this TFS. Okay, let's say that if I will say below to Bugzilla and above to QCALM. Okay, so if you see here, these are nothing but the text directly, so I can use directly, like how we have identified this functional. I can identify this Bugzilla, I can identify this QCALM, but so I want to get this element by using below to Bugzilla, above to QCALM. Okay, so let me just copy paste those two lines I have already here. So let me just grab that. So now here, so these are the two. Now here what I will be doing, I will be using this one. Now here I will say, so this is nothing but TFS, right? Now here what I will say, let me remove this one. Definitely it's a TD tag only. And here I will say below to Bugzilla, right? So below to Bugzilla dot above to QCALM, right? That is what we are expecting. Now here this one I will be highlighting. Now here I will just keep this one, and instead of the QTP I want to highlight this one. Okay, so below to Bugzilla and above to QCALM. Now here let me run this one. You can see it is not highlighting the TFS, rather it highlighted the checkbox actually. Now let's go to the application. Now when I'm saying below to Bugzilla and above to QCALM, why it is highlighting this one? Let's understand this one. Now below to Bugzilla. Now below to Bugzilla, what and all elements are there? I would say all of these elements are below to Bugzilla, because if I go here and highlight this one, below to Bugzilla everything is there. Say this is Bugzilla, and then here this is the entire row is there, and then here this row is also there. Okay, these two rows are this one. So below to Bugzilla I have all these elements, so this is also included. Now let's see, I'm saying above to QCALM. Now above to QCALM, even this is there, right? Because above to this one I get everything actually. So it means that and I said this is the first occurrence of your result, so that is nothing but this one. Now when I'm saying below to Bugzilla, above to QCLM, I'm getting this entire row, the second row entirely I'm getting. Okay, so that's why it is taking the first occurrence of that. So you need to be very careful to whenever you are using multiple functions or multiple of these relative locators, you need to be more specific. So if I want to give this TFS, I want to get this one, I have to specify something which is unique. Definitely below to Bugzilla is correct, but what I can get a unique type, actually I can say write to this Selenium, then it is more satisfying, right? Because if I say write to Selenium, I get everything, and there is only one instance only, so that's why I will get this one. Definitely when I say write to Selenium, I won't get this one because these are below to Selenium on this axis. Okay, but write to this one, I get this TFS. Now let's give it a try and see if this is working or not. Now I have already that, let me copy paste that one and here, and let's just disable QCALM. Now I don't need, so that's why I'm commenting that one, and even this is also not required. Okay, now the correct way I want to implement here. Okay, I'm saying Selenium, so I want to identify the Selenium, that I can identify by using the link text. Now here what I will say, the TFS, and I will say TFS, and here driver dot find element with tag name TD below to Bugzilla but right of Selenium. Okay, Selenium link is nothing but this one, and highlight that one. Now let's see if this is working fine or not. You can see now it is identifying the TFS because we have specifically told, and the occurrence is only one element only. Okay, so that's why we are able to uniquely identify that. So just to prove this one, let me do one thing. So here now no more highlighting, I will just try to print one thing just to show you guys that below to Selenium what and all elements are there, or below to Bugzilla what and all elements are there. So as I told, below to Bugzilla, I get everything actually. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 4. 8 items are there below to Bugzilla. Let's see if we are getting that output or not. So I will be using a list of web element. So I will be copy pasting this one here. Now let's run this one, and here. Okay. So let me import this one. Okay, here below to Bugzilla. So I'm taking only below to Bugzilla one option, one criteria only. So that's why I'm using find elements. If I get find element, I will be getting only this particular checkbox only. That's why I'm taking find element. So I will be getting all the occurrences on the DOM. Okay, so here what I'm doing, simply I'm taking these elements and I'm looping it, and then I'm printing the tag name and the text, because for this thing I don't have any text, so that's why I want to just print it as a TD. So let me run this one. Okay, so now here you can see 8 elements I should get an output. You can see here that checkbox don't have any get text, right? So this is coming as blank, and all the 2 rows it is printing here below to this Bugzilla. So that's how for this one we have not got proper output. Okay, so here I will say instead of TFS we get the checkbox. Okay, so that's how these things are determined. So whenever you are calling these multiple methods, you have to be careful that how you are determining based on this axis. So these are, if you see, these are all in one axis. So right to this one I can say Selenium and TFS. Below to this GY I have all these things, and then if I say right to this one, QTP and Bugzilla is there. So this getRect function normally returns these concepts, like whatever you are seeing here, whatever I said left, right, those things will be determined by this particular object, and this object has all these methods or properties which will return those things. So by manipulating those values, Selenium identifies the correct required element. Okay, so that's how these things are determined. Now as I told, this near method we want to discuss at the end, right? First I told what is the what do you call, kind of I did not get a proper response when I used the near, but if you have elements those are scattered like above 50 pixels, or else few elements are near to 50 pixels and few are far away, then you can use this one. Now here if you see, this near method is a four overloaded methods are there. If I go to this one, now how do I got it? So simply I copied from here. Now if I run this one, let me show you that one. So if I say this one, if I want to run, and then if I put dot, I will be getting all of these options. I just took a screenshot of this one. Now if you see here, this near is having four different overloaded methods, because the documentation says that it is identifying the 50 pixel distance elements only. But there is a overloaded method, two overloaded methods are there. You can even specify the pixels also. So by default, if you are not specifying anything, it takes 50 pixels. But if any element is near to your element, let's say 1 or 2 pixels, and these pixels basically, if you would have used css by using the browser css, then you would have got a picture of what exactly the pixel is all about. Okay, so you can specify, like you can say near and then some element that you have identified, and you will specify 10. So 10 is nothing but the more at most distance pixel, so which is just 10 pixels to this particular element. Identify that and get me those things. Okay, so like that you can utilize this near method. Okay, and just to show you the pom.xml, let me show you that. Here you can see I'm not using the 6 version because 6 version is having some issues. So once they will update to the Selenium actual 4 release, then you can use the Selenium 4 release. But for now, just use this 5 alpha release to get the proper output. Okay, so that's pretty much about this relative locators. So we will be seeing some more Selenium 4 features in our upcoming video sessions. So stay tuned and subscribe if you haven't.